Alrighty, everyone. We'll be getting started now. So, if y'all can just settle down, make sure everyone's signed in. Okay, so first of all, I want to thank everyone for coming to our Design Challenge 101 workshop today. Today's focus is basically to go over our design challenge. We'll be going over the booklet, and hopefully at this point in time, y'all have signed up using our Sign Up Genius link. Today we're also going to be talking about our prompt review. So that is the prompt that you will be working on for the next 3 weeks and submitting your project for. And then at the same time, today is also the time that you can use to ask questions for the design challenge. We'll be going over the roadmap, any events that we have coming up, and also time if you don't know your teammates, get their information and meet them today as well. So without any further ado, I will just quickly give a debrief of the design challenge and a little bit of history of the design challenge. This is our second edition of doing the design challenge ever. The first one was in 2020 when it went virtual. We were supposed to have in person as well. And we had over 30 teams participate. And this year we're already at 140 signups. So we're doing way more than we were expected. So huge kudos to y'all. And this design challenge is used to have a platform that you can use to make a project based on a prompt that is real life applicable. You can use this project to showcase your experience, your design skills, but also have a portfolio for you. Also have a project for your portfolio. We're going to be closing our design challenge with a huge celebration for design banquet, where you will have time to get food, network with our sponsors, Paycom and Bottle Rocket, and also meet faculty that focus on HCI, UX, and human design at a rate. So, well, the main thing for today's event is our prompt. Click next one. Okay, so our prompt is going to be the thing that you focus your design on. This is going to be a problem statement that you focus an experienced design solution on. So without any further ado, can I have a drum roll for the prompt review? The prompt for the 2022 Design Challenge is going to be to create a mobile application that teaches students easy, budget-friendly, and delicious recipes. We try and keep our prompt a little creative, but also a little open, so you can come up with creative solutions. This prompt was designed, kept in mind, talking to our sponsors, and keeping in mind that we're creating a mobile application, so it's specific to one platform. We're not expecting you to come up with like a fully covered application at the end of the design challenge, as the name suggests. What we're expecting you to do is come up with a solution for this problem statement and come up with a high fidelity mockup for the prototype for it. Do you all have any questions about the prompt that I can answer right now? Alrighty, I don't see any hands, so I will now quickly give it to Sanjana to talk about our booklet and how we're going to use the booklet to help you all out. So give a round of applause for Vice President Sanjana.
So, to help you out with the design challenge, we've created a full booklet that covers all of the design stages. So, this booklet can be accessed through this QR code right here. So, this is what you'll be using in the design challenge. It's also there on our website and socials. So, if you need to go back and look at it, it's going to be there for you. I'll give you a minute to open it up. Right. So does everyone have the booklet open? So we'll be talking through all the stages and going through the booklet, so y'all can just follow along. We good? Alright, so we will be giving you an overview of the design challenge, just a small letter from the UX Club team. Going over all the stages, how you're going to do the submission, and also give you guys lots of resources and opportunities to make best use of the design challenge.
And this booklet is also just beyond the design challenge. It's a really good resource for UX. You can use this for your personal projects and also for any design project you take in for academics as well. This booklet is not exhaustive, but is comprehensive on all aspects of design. We have a lot of resources linked, so that is why we highly suggest y'all to open it up right now. If y'all have laptops, phones, so that you can follow through the workshop as well.
So we have condensed it down to a couple of stages. So the first thing is the prompt, which we just revealed to you guys. The prompt will also be there on our website for future reference. And the first thing that you're going to start off is with personas. So we're going to give you guys 3 personas. It's going to be talked about more in detail. We expect that you guys probably start off around today. And all these days are just like a good pacing guide for you guys to get through the entire design challenge. So the next stage after the personas is going to be brainstorming, and then your low fidelity wireframes, your high fidelity prototype, and finally you're going to take all of that and put it into slides. So the final thing that you're going to turn in on November 6th is going to be a PDF export of your slides, and we're going to go over all the details in just a moment. And I will pass it on to Moni to talk about stage 1.
Alright, so we're going to get into stage 1, which is all about reviewing the personas that we provide you. So first we'll start off with what a persona is, and so that's just a fictional character that represents a user type. So that's basically a person that you're designing for. They represent a community, and you have to keep these communities in mind when you're designing. So in this case, we're going to be taking a look at what the needs of our target users are. That's what these personas are for. And the first step usually for you guys would be to conduct surveys and get to know the students around you, because those are who you're designing for. But because that would take a lot of time, we've provided you with 3 personas. And this is just a reminder that a persona is not just one person. You are not designing for these 3 people. You are designing for the community they represent. And each of these communities has different pain points, and you have to turn these pain points into opportunities by design. So we have 3 specific tasks that we'd like you to do. We'd like you to review the personas, which will be coming up in just a second. And we want you to do some research on UTD food options, like, for example, Halal Shack, Chick-fil-A. You know, there are so many options, but some of these options just are not accessible. So you want to take a look at how these are relevant to your design. And then we want you to go further than that. We want you to take a look at apps that are already doing what we've asked you to do, and see if you can make them better, or see if you have specific elements that you would like to incorporate in your design. So now I will pass it on to Angela to talk about the 3 personas we're giving you.
Thank you, Molly. Okay, so as Molly mentioned before, your personas are going to help you guide you into designing certain users that will be using your app. And the first persona we have here is Ali Khan. And I want some of the key points I want you guys to take note of with Ali is that he has a religious, because of religious restrictions when it comes to his diet. So you want to think like what kind of religions are on campus and how the foods kind of cater to that, their food choice. And I also want you to think about perhaps their time limit and their motivations. How much time do they have to make food? Why do they want to make certain dishes? And how much time do they have on their hands with other people? So that is Ali, your first persona. And then as we move down, we have Jay Yang. And Jay is special because he is a student athlete. So here's another factor you can kind of put into your persona is what is their lifestyle like. So if he's an athlete, you want to think about perhaps his calories intake, protein intake. And he has a lot of dietary restrictions like allergies, so gluten allergies, or just nut allergies and things like that. So when you think of these things, make sure to keep that in mind. And finally, we have one more user, Jia Chen. She is part-time teaching assistant, full-time student. So you want to think about also how much time she has on her hand when it comes to commuting. Because Jia is an international student, as some of you guys here may be, she doesn't have much, she doesn't have any options to travel. So you want to think, what's the quickest way she can get recipes, acquire her ingredients for her food. And these are the 3 users. And I'll pass on to Heba for stage 2.
Alright, so now that you guys have taken a look at the personas we gave you, stage 2 is all about brainstorming and pulling insights from these personas. So you're kind of honing in towards a solution around this time. So there are a few exercises that we recommend that you do if you've never done this process before. One of them is an empathy map. So what an empathy map does is it helps you understand and also translate your persona's actions and what they're saying, what they're thinking, what they're doing, and what they're feeling into more of a solution, right? So
For example, we talked about Jay. You might go into Jay and you might go over a whole day of what he's thinking, and you want to really use detailed descriptions to help you figure out your solutions. Another thing you should try out is how might we questions. So how might we questions are there for you to rephrase and find a new perspective to your problem, and again look for opportunities of improvement and innovation. And now I will pass it on for the prototyping.
Alright, so in stage 3, we're going to be making low fidelity wireframes. The main question we're going to be trying to answer throughout the stage is how can we actually construct our solution? In the previous stage, you guys would have a chance to brainstorm and kind of come up with a few features that you might want to include in your app in order to solve the user's problems. So now we're going to be fleshing out those ideas and then putting them onto paper and then eventually onto the screen. So there's a variety of ways to kind of start that process, but the way that we would recommend is going to be the Crazy Eights exercise. It's a very fast and efficient way to iterate and get a lot of ideas onto the paper. It's super simple. You're just going to take a piece of paper, you're going to fold it up into 8 sections. You're going to set a timer for 1 minute, and then once that minute begins, you're going to go to the first box. Say you're working on the home screen, you're going to draw out your idea of the home screen, get your idea of what that should look like onto the paper. After the minute's done, you're going to do the same thing, but for the second box and with new ideas. You're going to repeat this 8 times, and by the end, you should have 8 different versions of that screen. You're going to take this and then look at the elements that you want to include in your final design. So say on the 5th box, you have a really nice navigation bar. On the 6th box, you have a really nice way to display the basic information. You're going to take the different elements that you enjoy from each of your iterations and then move them onto kind of a finalized version of it. And then you're going to move on to low fidelity wireframes. What are low fidelity wireframes? These are very basic ways to display all the information that's going to be on your final product, but in a way that's not too concerned with the aesthetic choices. So these don't have any color, these don't have any iconography, they don't have typography, there's no pictures. And so instead of all of that, you're going to have boxes and a lot of gray things just to represent the information that you actually have. Throughout this booklet, all of the links, all of the titles of the sections are going to be linked. They'll send you to resources where you can find out more about each of the processes. I'm not going to explain how to make a low fidelity wireframe, but the main software that we'd recommend you to use are going to be Figma, Adobe XD, and Balsamiq. Once you move your ideas from the Crazy Eights onto there, or any other way you're brainstorming onto there, you're going to iterate upon that because it's a super fast process. Say the navigation bar you thought would look really nice doesn't actually look all that nice. You can make a new screen very quickly and then continue to iterate until you have a design that you think is super usable and very user-friendly. I'm going to pass it on to Kyle to talk about high-fidelity wireframes.
So at this point, you've already created your low-fidelity wireframe, and now you need to develop a high-fidelity prototype. And the purpose of this is to give you a very good idea of what your final application is going to look like before you hand it off to a software development team. Because at that point, when you're making changes and tweaking things, that's going to be time-consuming, that's expensive. So you really need to use this stage to get a finalized idea of what your product is going to look like. So if you haven't already, if you're still using sketches for your low-fidelity wireframes, you need to switch to prototyping software for this step. So like we mentioned, Figma, Adobe XD, Balsamiq, Sketch, there's other ones too, but you need to use software like this so that way you can make it interactive, and I'll get to that in a second. So when you're making your prototype, there's 3 things that you're going to need to consider in particular. One of them is the layout. At this point, you already have a pretty good idea of what your layout is, so you really need to go through refining it, thinking about, are there any features that are missing? Is there anything that I have in my layout that maybe could be organized better or more efficiently? Going through and basically refining it, making sure everything's present and just making sure it looks logical. And the second thing you're going to want to consider is your theming. In your low fidelity wireframes, you have just grayscale and you probably don't have images yet, so you really need to consider your color scheme. Is it going to be something that's appealing to your users? You need to think about maybe what fonts you're going to use, what kind of branding you want to have for your app. And not only does it need to be appealing, it also needs to be accessible. So are your color schemes, do they have a high enough contrast so that way all your text is readable? Is your font too over the top, or is it something that's going to be easy for your audience to understand and for your users? And then the third thing you're going to want to do is create your actual interactive prototype. So in prototyping software such as Adobe XD or Figma, you're going to have the ability to take buttons that you've created on your software and map them between screens. And you can use this to simulate scrolling, page navigation, and get an overall idea of what your app is going to be like for the user to interact with without having to actually do any programming. And you don't have to do this for this project, but you can give this to a potential user for testing, so that way you can figure out, does this actually work or is it confusing? And then you can go and make tweaks to it, so that way you have a good representation of your product before you hand it off. And for this project, this stage will be your final deliverable. So now I will hand it off to talk about actually submitting your project.
So our submission deadline is November 6th, and what the minimum requirement for submission is right here on the deliverables checklist. So we request that you guys have an empathy map, the research and brainstorming solutions you've come up with, 3 low fidelity wireframe screens, 3 high fidelity screens prototype, and then the slides and presentations that you will be presenting. And this is the minimum requirement, but it's not all you need. You can go further, you can research more, you can have more than just the deliverables that we listed there. And as for submission, we request that you gather all of your deliverables in one place. So we recommend using maybe Google Slides or PowerPoint to have everything gathered in one place. And so you'll just submit, you'll convert your presentation into a PDF format and submit it into our Google Forms that we have. And another important thing is to make sure that all of your links are shareable links, so that we can actually click on it and access what you've done, what you worked on. And now I'll hand it off to Sri.
Okay, so that might be a lot of information that you guys just took in right now, and honestly, I empathize because I'm new to UX. So from my perspective, taking all of this information could have been a lot. And for people who are participating in a challenge for the first time, or being part of UX for the first time, this might be intimidating for you. And we as officers understand that, which is why we compiled all of these resources, including the booklet for you guys. Apart from the booklet and, of course, the Google, web, whatever it is, all of us officers are always available to come help you guys at any point in time. We have a whole Discord channel for, present that right now.
I'm already in the Discord.
Okay, so while he does that, we already have a Discord channel for Design Challenge where there's specific different channels in there, one for questions, one for Team Finder, one for general chat, one for resources and such like that, where we are continuously providing you with support through this challenge. Okay, there you go. So first one is the announcements. This is where you'll find any important information, including deadlines or resources or whatever it is. And then the second one is the actual resources forum. So over here, we have each of those stages up there. Stage 1, research, brainstorm. Stage 2, stage 3, low fidelity. 4, high, and then 5th one is there's no 5th one, but that was supposed to be submission. So for each of those different stages, we will be providing you with resources whenever we find anything. And obviously, if you guys think that your fellow peers could, use some of the resources that you found, you could add it on there. And then the general channel, pretty self-explanatory. And then we have Team Finder, which has been pretty active for the past few days now. This is where, for instance, if you still haven't found your team, you could put in a message on this chat, and anyone else who probably doesn't have a team could reach out to you, and you guys could form a team for your challenge. And then the last one is where we have the questions. So the questions channel, you could put up any questions that you have on here, and us officers will try to keep, contact with you guys to answer your questions. We also do have office hours, which one of our officers will go a little bit more in depth. This is just, it would be online and in person where you can come and ask your questions and get more direct guidance. And then moving on to our actual website, this is where you could download the booklet that we just talked about if you hadn't gotten a chance to already scan the QR code. And we have a separate section over there for a design challenge. And if you just scroll through there, you can find the booklet. You will also find more information about the design challenge itself. And lastly, the resources that we actually put together. So for tools, many of the officers had already mentioned that we could use Figma, Adobe XD, and such. For inspiration, you could use Pinterest. I'm sure everyone already knows what that is. We have Dribble, UI sources, Behance, and such. And then to learn design, we have Laws of UX, Webflow, and Humane. Obviously, these are just some of the options that we've put together, but this doesn't limit your resources. And lastly, again, already mentioned, if you do click on the titles in each of the separate stages that we had, they are actually linked, so they will take you to specific resources. And with that, I'll pass it on to Ed. Oh, sorry.
All right, I'm back, guys. So a lot of information, and I did see a lot of people joining us a little later, so I'll quickly kind of just tell them that we just went over our design challenge booklet. This is all of you that just missed it. Our booklet is basically where you can find all information. So at any point of this design challenge, you feel stuck, you don't know what to do, or you don't know where to start, our booklet will be your place to go. I will kind of go over now over our rubric and our judging aspect, but before that, I just want a quick raise of hands. Who here is registered for the design challenge so far? Okay. Do you all know your teams yet? I see some nods, some no's. So for our random team finder situation, what we're going to do is tomorrow, first thing in the morning, you'll receive an email saying, hey, this is the team member you're signed up with, these are the people, this is their contact information. If you can get in touch with them, if you can start working with them ASAP, that'd be perfect. If you have any problems with your team, or if anything falls through, if you found a random teammate and they didn't get the contact information for, just let us know ASAP in the Discord channel, and we'll help you find a new team right in time for the design challenge. So now I am actually going to go over how this design challenge is going to be judged. As I said before, all of our resources are either on our website or in the rubric or in the design challenge booklet. Our design challenge is focused mainly for people who are starting out in UX, or maybe it is their first project. But our rubric kind of goes over the aspects that we're looking for. There are 10 categories. Each category has the same weightage. This directly reflects the information that we give you through the design challenge. As you can see here, we have problem identification, research, the insights. We have the prototype section right here. We also have a section that goes overall solution. This is kind of what you came up with. We give you the prompt, but now you came up with the solution. That being said, I know this was a lot of information covered, so now that we're going to do a Q&A with Professor Norm Cox. Professor Norm Cox has years and years of industry experience. They also teach at UTD. They're also our faculty advisor and helped us grow the club over the years. So please give it up for Professor Norm Cox. Would you like to stay seated?
No, you guys go ahead.
All right. So this is the time y'all can ask us any questions pertaining to the design challenge, design process, or honestly anything that we mentioned today. Any questions so far? Does anyone know their team? Should I start asking questions back? All right. If there are no questions, I will just quickly wrap up our presentation today with a couple of future things that we're planning. Oh, I see hands. Go for it, brother. Thank you so much.
I was gonna kind of ask y'all, like, when you're kind of like beginning a project like this, what would be like kind of like the first thing you're looking to do?
That's actually a really good question. I can go ahead and give it a little insight, and and then Professor Cox, if you want to join in, I'll give you the mic as well. For me, I am a CS student, so when I was doing my first UX project, it was actually with the UX Club officers. And a lot of the insights that I learned from other officers was, like, it's okay to start at a point where you don't know what you're going to do. But taking the step of learning is like the big thing. So when I started first UX project, it was a case study, and I didn't know where to start. So the first thing I did was research. So the main thing is you need to understand that there's like steps and phases and processes you can go through. So in our design challenge booklet, we actually try to do the same thing where we help you do initial research so that you know your target audience. So either the 3 personas that we gave you are the people that you're going to be making the solution for. So I think the first step for me would be to go over that booklet, understand what the first stage is, and then follow through the stages. Do y'all, my officers, want to add on to anything for that? Or I think I'll go for it.
I would also say a big part of UX design is all about the user. So we didn't emphasize it too much in this, but research is a huge part of the process, right? Because you have less time, we gave you the persona already, but I would recommend you start by really trying to get into the head of the user, try to find documents and facts and things that are already published that support something, right? Like look for the research again, like what Abhi said, because at the end of the day, you should be able to say my design is based off of this and this and this. It's not just I came up with this just because. So you have to be able to say why you did it, and I think that's what would really set your project apart from others, is being able to really back up your design.
Mic goes off every time I speak. Any other questions? Raise your hand high enough so I can see. Whoever asks the question gets 3 donuts. I guess nobody wants donuts. Okay, so now I'll hand off to Nawar to kind of take care of our featured events. So give it up for Nawar.
Okay, so our wonderful team of officers have planned some great events for you all and for the next coming weeks. These events will kind of aid you in seeking opportunities throughout the design challenge. First of them is on October 26th. Our officer, Angela, is going to be leading a Figma workshop. As our officers mentioned, Figma is going to be one of the tools that you will be using throughout the design challenge. And this is a great asset, even if you're not participating in the design challenge and you're just basically generally in the design industry or you're trying to get into UX. This workshop is going to be really helpful for you. So if you know someone who is not participating in the design challenge and would benefit from this event, please share it with them. During the event, we will also have an industry expert, so hopefully we will be able to do some Q&A sessions at the end. Our officers also mentioned that on Discord we have multiple channels, and so in some of them you can also ask questions and seek help. But we're also going to be offering office hours. More information for the virtual office hours will be sent on Discord, so if you haven't joined them yet, please join the Discord channel. On November 2nd, we will be holding an in-person office hours for anyone who wants to come in and seek extra support. Just keep in mind that this is close to, or let's just say right before your design challenge submissions are due. So hopefully by this time you've gotten the bulk of it done and you're just coming to seek extra opportunities and supports, or learn about what you can do to probably enhance your project. And to close off our design challenge, we are on November 16th, we're going to be hosting a banquet, a design challenge banquet. In this banquet, our participants are going to come. We will have, a lot of people from the industry, from the UX industry. It's a great opportunity for us because we will be celebrating our participants' accomplishments and achievements. Winners and honorable mentions will be, they will receive awards and certificates. Also, all our participants, hopefully, you all will also receive certificates. The banquet is not only about, celebrating your achievement, but it's also a great source for networking because we will have so many people from the industry there for you to, meet and network. We will have our professors and a lot of other people. So please book that day from now, put it in your calendars. Don't forget that the banquet is going to be on November 16th. And make sure you come empty stomach because we will be having dinner. We will be serving you all dinner. So make sure you book that day from now. Do not forget that the banquet is going to be on November 16th. And I will hand it off to Lipi. So.
Okay, thank you for attending. I'm back. Thank you for attending, guys. Make sure to fill out our feedback form because it does really help us to learn about what you guys need from us, how we can improve our events to cater to your needs. So please, 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 please fill out the feedback form. I take, it is a lot of work for me to put it together. It's like a minute of my day, so, please just fill it out. Thank you. And save your response so you can get a donut from us.
Alrighty, just some closing remarks. I know none of y'all want to do Q&A, so if you do have any questions, officers will be staying back. Professor Cox will be there for questions as well. We'll be serving donuts now outside. There'll be officers, so once you've done filling out the feedback form, show that you've submitted the feedback form, and then they'll be able to give you donuts outside. Any questions? Oh, we have a question.
Yes.
Let's go clap. Let's go clap.
For the deliverables checklist, can you just go over like the empathy map and the brainstorming solutions a little bit? Just like what you guys would be looking for on that?
100%. Give me 1 second. Okay. So for our empathy map, you can actually see we have a link to the empathy map, more resource right here. When we say just include an empathy map is you use the research that you did with that empathy map and include it in the PDF form of the slides. So if anyone of you all want to talk more about the empathy map aspect itself, I can leave the mic to them as well. Go for it.
So empathy map, so we have the 3 personas laid out for you, right? You're gonna look through them, conduct research and everything, and you're gonna put that together in an empathy map. So the link that we attached there is gonna show you like how to do it. Empathy map is just like a one-pager that talks about like how your users are feeling, what they're thinking, what they're saying. So that is the deliverable that you will be putting on your slide. So you're just gonna be like, this is the empathy map I created based on the research. And the next thing you asked was the brainstorming solutions, right? So as Iba mentioned, we do encourage that you guys do research and support your design. So we want to see how you got your solution. So that part is kind of open-ended, up to you to show us like, how you get your solution. One way to do that is the how might we questions. Just go through this exercise and see like how can you design a solution that helps all of your users as a student persona. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, I got a question. That's good.
So, how do we design like an interface that kind of stands out? Because all the interfaces for all the apps that I have are pretty similar to each other. And also, second question is just a mini question: is like how you made like the characters, like the person, like the images.
I can hand off the second part of the question to one of the officers who actually designed it. She's outside serving donuts, but you all want to grab her and get her inside? Perfect. And I'll let her talk because we're talking a lot.
So for the interface question, I'd say that that's the market research aspect of it. So if you look at other apps and see like what element you like and what you don't. So if you go to the second, go to the stage 3. So we have that crazy 8 exercise, right? So that's really going to help you decide like what features stand out and how that looks together in an app layout. So if you do that exercise and just kind of brainstorm, that'll help you decide like what elements you want to put together in your wireframes and prototype. So, yeah.
And that is our
Design persona? Yes.
Asking about the personas.
Okay, so for the personas, you guys saw the little people, right, on the left? So that's a plugin. A plugin on Figma is basically like a already artist rendered, basically like software that they have in Figma, and you just type in like human, person, icon, and then you just find like an illustration for that. It's quite simple. I did not make that myself. And if you're asking about the overall, are you asking just about the person?
Yeah, I was asking.
Just the person, yeah, just the person. It's just a plugin. Yeah. That's all. Any other questions?
We got one more question.
Oh, yes.
Do you have any constraints for the challenge, or is it like, you know, like whatever feature you want? Is there actually have to be like feasible and makeable?
I can take that question. So our goal is to have at least 2 feature screens and 1 home screen. So the only constraints we have is that it should tie into the problem of the solution you come up with. So we give you a question, the answer you come up with the answer, so the solution itself. If your feature screens don't kind of match the solution that you came up with, that would be kind of hard to kind of gauge interest. But if you look over the rubric, it ties into the theme of the solution as well. So one of the main things is don't find something off of online and then based on that, because our judge is we're going to be taking care of the presentation as well. So make sure that you're coming up with something, so we don't have to worry about reaching out to you like, hey, this is what you made, right? So just making sure you tie it to a solution and then have a feature screen that ties into the main theme as well. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
And also just to add to the technical aspect, if that was also in your question, so like if you have a solution that implements like AI or something that might be really hard for people to implement, you can still design for that because you're not coding this. You're just giving us a prototype that could work that goes to the developers. So do whatever you want, whatever you can. Yeah.
And just a small little thing. Imagine this is like a project that you would want for yourself. Let's say you have someone actually make this sort of a design for you to be able to use. What would you like to see on there? What sorts of features would you want on there which would make it more attractive and appealing to you? Because if it's attractive to you, then it means it meets your standards, which then would work towards all the other options with that piece.
Any other questions? Alrighty, I will put the feedback form slide once again. And if you have filled out the feedback form, you're more than happy to head outside and get some donuts. But I just want to give you all a thank you again. I hope all the best to everyone who's participating in the design challenge. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us. But thank you all for coming again.